So with pre-production, we started with our concepts. So we were given the concept of a 2-minute short film opening, and then individually we went away and came up with an idea. So what we had to think about is how we would do it. So possible locations, cast, like maybe the screenplay, kind of just what was going to happen within it, and then also a genre, and if there was already a market for this film, so if we could like compare it to an existing film. And then we did a pitch each. So there was 3 different pitches, and then we couldn't come up with which one we liked best. So me and Paige did a 4th pitch together, and we decided upon that one, which is a hybrid genre of a rom-com and a social realist film. And then we went into genre research. So we split up the different bits into the history of the genre, the audience, and the convention. So we did this for both rom-com and social realist. So each of us took different sections of that. And then we've done at least 6 film opening analyses. Then we each looked at 6 different film openings and analysed them. What we did is we looked at the conventions that they used in their openings, and we took ideas from these and how we could interpret that into our idea. So I looked at the film Breakfast on Pluto, and from that we took ideas from the title, the main title. I think it was pink and it was in handwriting font, and that suggested that it could be a romance or a rom-com. It was very feminine, and we've taken that idea and used it in ours. We also looked at the kind of the conventions from the research that we did, and how we could also interpret that into our film. So the love triangle from the conventions of a rom-com. So that was used in Bridget Jones' Diaries, and we've incorporated that into ours, even though ours is an unconventional love triangle because it's bisexual. What? It's not bisexual. Is it bisexual? Oh no, it's heterosexual and homosexual.
I don't even know anyone.
Okay, cut that bit. Cut that bit. Okay, so because our love triangle is unconventional because it is heterosexual and homosexual. So that's the spin that we've put on ours to add the kind of social realist touch to it. And then we also looked at the costumes and mise-en-scene and locations from social realist films. So they've used very realistic settings, so council estates, and with the costume, with the film Sweet 16, they had what we would term as chappy clothing, so tracksuits and that kind of style. But then also in the film, the social realist film Submarine, which is also a hybrid of a rom-com as well, they use very kind of retro clothes, which we incorporated into ours as well. What I learned from this is that the locations that rom-coms use and social realists use are completely different. So as I said before, with the locations for the social realist films, they're very realistic. Places that people in England would know, so it's like Sheffield, Leeds, and they do it in the kind of the rural estates, council houses, that kind of places, kind of normal working person, where they live. And then with the rom-coms, with a lot of the Richard Curtis films, he sets them all in kind of the south, so with like London area, or like a little rural picturesque village. So they contrast massively. We chose from this, we kind of chose to go with the more picturesque kind of rural setting, but also not too picturesque, just kind of moorland shots of around our area. So we haven't altered them anyway to make them look more idyllic, just kind of how they are. And then we've used the location of school as well. So that's quite naturalistic, so it's our school. What am I on about? What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna take some. Okay.
I'm just letting you do your thing.
Do my thing. And then we went on to choose our target audience. We decided upon kind of the age group of 15 to 21 for our primary audience. So we wanted quite a youthful young audience. And then our secondary audience is kind of an older audience. Yep. And then we did some genre research. We asked people within our chosen target audience if they would watch clips from films that were the same as our genre, to see if people from our primary audience would if that genre would appeal to them, which we found that it did. so that was very helpful. So we didn't have to change our genre, because if it didn't fit, then we'd have to change our genre. And then we did what the fuck? We did some research into characters as well. With that, we took inspiration from Molly Ringwald's character from Pretty in Pink, which has a rom-com genre. So that's why we chose that character, because she fitted what we wanted, of kind of like an individual character. She's retro and quirky. And then we also took inspiration from the Ducky character in Pretty in Pink as well, for the Harry character. We wanted him to be kind of the same as the Holly character. We wanted him to be kind of individual, quirky, kind of crazy, exactly like the Ducky character, which we also took inspiration from that film with the record shop scene. We took inspiration from that heavily as we recreated that, but in a shop rather than a record shop. And then also with mise en scene, with the film Submarine, which our film is very, very, very heavily influenced by. We took a lot of mise en scene ideas from there, because the first couple of shots is of the inside of the central protagonist's bedroom, and the mise en scene in there creates exposition on an anchorage on the character and the characteristics of that character. So it shows him to seem older than his age, more mature. So you're kind of slightly taken aback when you see how young he is, and that's kind of shown through his room being very tidy, which isn't like the stereotypical bedroom that you'd see of a teenager. You'd expect it to be a lot messier. He had a lot of kind of globes and artwork and artists' paintings on the walls. So we took influence from that, and then decided when we were organising the props beforehand. So pre-production, we organised what props we wanted to use for our bedroom scene. We chose to do the same kind of thing. We chose to print out a lot of different pictures of kind of well-known and unknown quirky artists to stick on the wall. We found a lot of different film books to put on the shelves, and a lot of quirky social realist films to also put on the shelves, and some retro mise en scene, so a retro telephone, a retro clock, that kind of thing, to signify that our character was quirky. We also researched shot types used in the genres of films that we are influenced by. So in Submarine, they use a lot of panning shots in the bedroom and of the rural setting, which we've used in ours as well. Also, with the film American Werewolf in London, they also used a lot of establishing shots and extreme long shots of moorland, which we've also incorporated into our film as well. With the music, we were again influenced by Submarine, and we researched into their music, which we found out was composed by Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys, as they are signed by Warp Music. So yeah, we then decided to do a song by Arctic Monkeys, but just the guitar with no vocals, to use in our opening, because it would signify a romance, because it's very slow, an acoustic guitar, so that would help bring across the romantic genre part of our hybrid genre. And with the titles, again, as I've already said, with the Breakfast on Pluto, but we also looked into the titles from a rom-com film called You've Got Mail. I looked at the kind of the order of the titles and which titles they used, and that research really helped, as I could see how professional films use titles, and then took that and incorporated it into our film. So that was the research for that. So that was pre-production. Planning, we did very, very detailed. We did a very detailed screenplay, which we had never done before, so that was a step up. We also did very detailed call sheets and storyboards, which again is a step up, as they've kind of been quite basic beforehand. We did them for all of the different scenes as well, not just one. We had to plan locations, so we couldn't just turn up somewhere. We had to check the weather, research the weather, what time of day we'd want to do it, and what day we could do it, like to get the cast there. So it would have to be a day that everyone could do. During the production schedule, all the shots were done on a tripod. Whilst doing the prelim and the Swede, we used a bit of both. We used handheld and tripod, but we wanted it to look as professional and as smooth as possible with limited shaking, because with the shaking of the camera, when it's not intentional, could lose its marks. Therefore, we had to, all those sections would have to be cut out. So to make sure that that didn't happen, we used a tripod at all times. We also created a production schedule during the production period. So this helped with organisation, so everyone would know what dates we were doing, which scenes we were shooting. For this, we also did a lot of pre-practice shots. For example, me and Ben went up to Oakley Moor and did a load of shots, panning shots of the scenery up there for practice for the scenery shots on Denton Moor. So we knew exactly what we wanted. So from that, we realised that we didn't want any kind of human aspects in it. It needed to be all scenery, so any cars or roads needed to be cut out or not filmed. We used many different locations, and none of these needed to be changed, so that was good. When shooting, we took many different takes, so we did multiple takes. Therefore, we would have more to choose from when editing together. We also used many different angles and shot types to make it more interesting to use these cutaway shots. With that links to cinematography. So the cinematography, we played around with the focus on the camera. So we had like a short field of focus and long field of focus. For example, I used this in the bedroom scene where I had a short field of focus when filming some of the cutaway shots. For example, the candle. We all had our individual roles, which were stated in the production schedule. So this also helped us with individual work, not just group work, and helped us work together as a team. So with post-production, we used advanced editing. So as I've explained before, we used the cut tool, the grab tool, we used the hold tool, the tool that slowed the film down, sped it up. We used that in the bad boy scene and the shop scene to make it more like a music video. I've already addressed technology in question 6, so my question 6 has more on the technology that I used in those specific sections. With the music, this was the main part of the music. So in this section, we'd already recorded the Arctic Monkeys soundtrack in kind of the production, kind of pre-production stage, but that was only one out of the 3 pieces of music that we needed. So in post-production, our first idea for the music didn't work out. So then we had to go to plan B, which was getting someone in school to do an acoustic cover. Also, the hardest thing was that through the production stage we had kind of placeholder copyright music, which we'd kind of edited and from an early stage, and the sample music kind of will influence the scenes as well during production. But at post-production, this was the time when we edited the scenes to the music, which you can also find in my evaluation question 6. We also did the voiceover. We wrote the voiceover and performed the voiceover and edited the voiceover with the film as well in the post-production stage. We got audience feedback on this, as well as all the rough cuts that we did, especially with the later ones, as these were the ones that we needed the most audience feedback on. So the audience feedback helped, as we could see which bits we needed to improve on, if people understood the love triangle, if that came across well, and if our primary audience understood our characters and what we wanted to bring across with them, and if not, we'd have to tweak certain editing processes within it, or reshoot, which gladly we didn't have to. Throughout this process, I've learned a lot about